Right, we are back with another Pickled Dragon Unscripted. We've got big news. So big that I didn't even have time to go grab a glass of scotch, which is very sad indeed. But with us as always is Jacoya,
Hola.
lovely, talented as always. So crazy news coming out of WotC. Um, you know, we have been speculating for a while now that D&D 5.5 or 6E or whatever you want to call it has not been going very well. And I think the latest news where you know, after the new version release, they cut loose all of their game developers, or most of them, for the tabletop version. Well, now they've laid off 90% of their VTT staff. Um,
Which is the virtual reality tabletop.
which is where they were supposed to be getting all their money, fastest selling edition ever. And
I mean, and they were clearly making all of the additions to be mobile game, virtual video game, whatever. And so I have to say, Matt, I am actually incredibly disappointed because of all the weird, contrived things that WotC has come up with. This was the only one I was like, that sounds kind of cool. I would really like a virtual D&D. That seems like fun. But now I don't even get that.
well, they released their VTT. It's just a stripped down version of what all the promised
Yeah.
stuff. So, if they laid off 30 people, and that's 90% of the staff, so there's like four devs who are keeping the lights on, essentially. Just basically being, they're doing support. I would assume. Um, but so it's kind of a sad day in a way. Like I've said many times that um, I care about the legacy of the game and that the game D&D continues forward and is a good game. You can hate on Watson, you can hate on Hasbro and everything, but I am a loyal person and there is a legacy here that seems to be turning in, most company, no, nothing lasts forever, right? But to see
I mean,
the
but there's a difference between it fell out of fashion and it like was thrown into a fiery, raging pit of despair.
Yeah, I mean, they did it to themselves, right? With all of their weird moves and OGL, like corporate greed and
That's really all it boils down to is definitely corporate greed. And there were lots of ways for them to make money without ruining the legacy, without trash talking Gary Gygax, without having a war between them and Rob Kuntz. Like there were so many other avenues, and yet they chose violence every time.
they chose the way of pain, as
Why?
Saruman would say. But I have said this before, but these people came in from Microsoft and they thought, oh, let's just put our claws in it just like we would a video game, because gamers will buy the game as long as it's good. We could do whatever we want to the gamers and they'll buy the game as long as the game's good. But they forget that tabletop gamers are different. We take our sets of rules and we build our own worlds from it. So it becomes very, very personal, because
Hmm.
we're not all playing the same game. We're not
Right.
all playing Diablo 3 or whatever. It's a very personal thing to us. So when they pulled all their shenanigans, it had a lasting impact. I think as always, we've got an article here. Um,
Before we get on that article, guys,
yeah,
since we're not going to have virtual reality Dungeons and Dragons, I guess we'll be stuck with our good old-fashioned tabletop, which means you're going to need dice. Go to dnddice.com and use promo code PICKLED so that you can pick up more dice for you and your friends to play good old-fashioned tabletop.
And I also would like to point out very quickly that, and this is not a paid deal whatsoever, but Mad Scribe Games, it's kind of a quarterly magazine. You can get from
Mad
Drive
Scribe
Through.
Magazine, yeah.
Yeah. Drive Through RPG. They're kind of keeping the dream alive, if you will, like the legacy of Dungeon and Dragon magazine, those two. So give them a look. I think it's pretty cool. It's just tabletop news and just
And there's going to
quarterly.
be little stories that you can either just enjoy or you can use for your tabletop games. There's also a paint PDF, a paint tutorial just for you guys that yours truly made. And I'm really excited about the next issue because it's going to be a good one.
Yeah. Somebody special is in it. All right, so let's take a look at it. Let's take a look at this article. And I think the original article um, came came from like PC Gamer. Actually, I take that back. Andy Collins. Andy Collins is one of the developers on the VTT, and he was one of the people let go. And he posted on LinkedIn about the sad news about the team getting let go. And again, no matter what you think about WotC or Hasbro, these are people's lives, their jobs, their livelihoods impacted, right? And so, I'm not somebody who's going to sit there and say, "Yay, WotC got screwed." It's not my thing. But the article here says Hasbro pushed Sigil out of the nest, and you know, uh, the important thing is that there was somebody on the inside of WotC, somebody on the inside who leaked some information, um, uh, internal emails where they emailed out about the VTT. So basically, it reads, after several months of alpha testing, we've concluded that our aspirations for Sigil, their VTT, as a larger standalone game with a distinct monetization path will not be realized. Now, they did release kind of a beta version that people are playing with, again, without all the bells and whistles, but
Eh.
you know, as such, we cannot maintain a large development effort, and most of the Sigil team will be separated from the company this week. It's a very nice way of saying you're getting shit canned. Separated from the company. We are, however, proud of what the Sigil team has developed and want to make sure that fans and players on D&D Beyond can use it. To that end, we will transition Sigil to a DDB D&D Beyond feature. We will maintain a small team, 4 or 5 devs, to sustain Sigil and release products already developed at no additional cost to users. So they're pushing it out the door, ready or not, whatever it's done is done, and that's it. Um, wow, that's crazy to me.
I know. That's just wild.
So here they talk about how they basically gave out severance packages and bonus to the other people, to the people that let go. So yeah, again, Rascal News were the ones that released the information from the anonymous employee. Um, yeah. The anonymous employee essentially said that from the very beginning, there was a distinct lack of interest, quote unquote, from the higher ups at WotC. That
Of course,
has
because it
has
was the only good idea they had. That makes sense.
Yeah, they say Hasbro treated Sigil like a video game instead of a VTT, and at no point cared to understand the difference. The company apparently expected Sigil to create revenue in a similar fashion to Magic the Gathering or Baldur's Gate 3, simply by existing, probably with your microtransactions and whatnot. I need a Vorpal sword, cha-ching, 8.99 or whatever. Um, when that proved not to be the case, the employee said Hasbro pushed Sigil out of the nest and were uninterested if it managed to fly before crashing to the earth. Yeah, I would like to know from you guys if anyone's tried it. Like I don't know, you know, anything about it. I don't like playing D&D online, but um, the employee described a meeting only a month ago where Collins asked leadership about their version of Sigil going forward. Nobody was able to provide a clear answer. Wow, that's crazy.
That tracks. That tracks. Such a bummer.
So,
I don't know. It seems so silly too. It doesn't sound like Sigil had good direction or good support. I think this could have been a really amazing thing. There's definitely a market for a virtual reality Dungeons and Dragons. Like, oh, this is pretty cool. I'd like to throw a fireball and actually see it explode. That'd be kind of cool. I think back on like the Star Wars chess set, Matt. Back in the day, the holographic chess set. Who
that's
wouldn't
kind
do
of
that?
fun. Yeah.
I'm not saying it would replace my love for just regular tabletop, but I definitely don't like going online and doing Dungeons and Dragons online. I just don't feel like it has that same camaraderie that you bring to actual tabletop. And there's these nuances in being around each other. But I felt that a virtual reality version could have come close to that because there are people that I love to bits and they are not in the same state as me, and I would love to play with them, Matt, yourself included. So it would have been an amazing opportunity. I mean, who knows? Maybe another company will swoop in and do it.
Yeah.
Maybe this is Kelsey's chance to get involved.
Well, yeah, I mean, I think that it could be that Hasbro's looking at just outsourcing all the development work for Dungeons and Dragons going forward, whether that's video games or anything else. It- I, I would love to see another company given a chance to create Dungeons and Dragons, official licensed Dungeons and Dragons material. Um, because certainly the people that have it now just don't know what they're doing. Um,
Well, they're
but
not paying attention. They don't even know how we play.
yeah, well, and that's just it. Like that's how the author of this article closes, which I think was very apt. I'm frustrated more than anything that developers are out of a job, that money went into this, and that people who are out of touch with how TTRPGs are played keep giving marching orders to people who know their stuff. Um, and yeah, I think that hits the nail on the head right there.
That it
Um,
does. That it does.
and again, I don't have ill wish towards anybody. I don't want anyone to be out of a job. I don't want anyone to struggle.
It's not a good time to be unemployed right now, let me tell you.
Yeah, it's tough times. So,
Hmm.
what do you guys think? Are we going to see Hasbro license D&D, or are they going to do their normal bit where they just shelve IPs and sit on them? And is D&D going to be put on the shelf next to Transformers and everything else? Let us know what you think. So,
Comment, like, subscribe. Let us know your thoughts.
yeah.
And as always, come back to have another round on us.